Welcome to an audiobook. Book name is Hyperfocus: How to Work Less and Achieve More, written by Chris Bailey. Chapter 0: Why Focus Matters. Attention is everything. I am writing this word over the sound of clanging curtly and muffled conversation at a small dinner in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I have always been a fan of people watching. There is so much to take in: how they dress, walk, converse, and act when they are either around or not around other. At busy coffee or at a dinner like this, it's fun to see the personalities collide like particle in an accelerator. To observe the guy's personality change when he switches from talking to his friend to chattering up to the waitress, to watch the personalities of waiter staff shift when serving each table, adapting to the large family, young couples. In focusing on other people, I have made a lot of observation about what those people are focusing on. In any given moment, we are all focused on something, even if we are just lost in the internal thoughts. Let's take a glance through the dinner. I turn my attention first to the two 20 something girls at the table to my left, who are mostly focusing on their smartphone instead of each other. Between bounds of texting, they flip their phones face down on the table. This, it seems, it is a pretty pointless gesture. I have picked them back by 30 seconds later. While I can't make out their every word, I can tell they are skimming the surface of conversation they could be having. They are with each other in person, but their attention is elsewhere. Or take the couple across the room. They are engrossed in the conversation fueled by hot coffee and buttermilk pancake. They were engaged in the relatively quiet and small talk when they arrived, but their conversation soon became more animated. Unlike the girl, the couple has focused only on each other since the sitting down. A catchy Ed Sheeran song came on over the restaurant speaker, and my attention is drawn to the two guys sitting a few tables over from the couple. One of them subtly taps his foot to the beats while his friend orders. The foot tapper is presumably spreading his attention across three things: the song, what his friend is ordering, and his own breaking fast decision. After he ordered the 3 egg express, when the servant asks how he did like his egg prepared, he directs his attention inward, seemingly recalling how he usually takes them. He orders scrambled. At the bar are few of strangers making idle conversation while watching last night's football highlight. I find it especially fascinating that millions of people around the world, including these three guys, are fixed on the 11-inch piece of tanned cow white. As I watched, one of the guys cocked his head, lost in thought. Then, as I thought, though a shock wave was traveling through his body, he rushes to capture an idea in his pocket notepad. While he was lost in the daydream, and to the tune of football highlights, an insight struck from out of the blue. He had eureka moment. Or take me sitting here with my laptop this morning as I sip coffee and nibble home fried. I have been able to focus more deeply on my work and have more energy to burn. My morning meditation may have helped. I find I am able to write more words when I take part in his rituals. I left my phone at home so I could write distraction free and so my mind could rest on the walk to the dinner and wander. As I will discuss later, disconnecting is one of the most powerful way to speak new and innovative idea. The music playing on the restaurant speaker is catchy, but not enough to be distracted. I am not here for the soundtrack, though, and also chaos his dinner over my favorite cafe music. There is no Wi Fi. Constant disconnectivity is one of the worst disruption to our focus and productivity. As the last few paragraphs demonstrate, I am a bit distracted by the environment and the people is hosting, but they are serving as good fodder for the introduction. This restaurant scene is handy illustration of the revelation I had a while back. Attention is around us. When you see it, you can't unsee it. Everyone awake on the planet in this one moment, whether you are eating breakfast, working, spending time with your family, is focused on something. Attention is backdrop against which we live our lives, whether we go, whatever we do, even if we are just noticing the thoughts in our head. It has been a few years since I first began to explore how we cannot only focus better but also think more deeply. While this is tough to admit, especially as someone who was making his life a productivity expert, I started to notice my own increased distraction, especially as I accumulated more devices. I had never been so busy while accomplishing so little. I had grown restless with boredom and lack of stimulation, and which was trying to cramp my as much into every moment as I could. I knew that my brain never functioned well when I was trying to multitask, but I felt compelled to do it anyway. Working with my email client open and my smartphone on my desk was simply more appealing than trying to concentrate on one or two simple things. For me, this book was born out of necessity. I wrote it because I needed it. When I get excited by new idea, I typically order dozen of books on it and nerd out about that topic. Focus has been my most recent fascination. This included how we can best manage the distraction around us, multitask more effectively, if that's possible, battle our resistance to focus on tasks that makes the procrastination, and also better unfocus so that we can genuinely relax and recharge. In my reading, I found an awful lot of information, advice that was fun to read but ultimately didn't help me progress my work and life forward. I then turned to the actual scientific research, score of academic studies, and decades of documentation dedicated to learning how we best focus. As I carefully read every study I could find, and the focus folder on my computer became massive, I amassed tens of thousands of words of notes and began to identify the most practical and tactical lesson from them. I started speaking to the world's foremost attention researcher to get the bottom of why we get distracted so easily and discover how we can get our stubborn mind to focus in word of distraction. As I started to experiment with research myself to see if it was actually possible to get a grip on my focus. What I discovered completely changed not only how I work but also how I live my life. I began to see focus as not only the contributor to my productivity but also factor in my overall well-being. Surprisingly, I learned that one of the best practice for fostering my creativity and productivity was learning how to unfocus. By paying attention to nothing the particular and letting my mind wander, as I did on my way to Kingston dinner, I found that I become better at making connection between idea and coming up with new one. I also found that we encounter more distraction today than we have in the entire history of humanity. Studies show we can work for an average just 40 seconds in front of computer before we are either distracted or interrupted. I went from viewing multitasking as a stimulating work hack to regarding it as a trap of continuous interruption. While trying to do more tasks simultaneously, we prevent ourselves from finishing any one task's significance. And I began to discover that my focusing deeply on just one important thing is a time. Hyper focus. We become more productive version of ourselves. Above all this, I began to view attention as the most important ingredient as we can add if we are become more productive, creative and happy at work and at home. When we invest our limited attention intelligently and deliberately, we focus more deeply and think more clearly. This is an essential skill in today's world when we are so often distracting environment doing brain heavy knowledge work. This book take you on a guided tour through my exploration of the subject to focus. I'll share not only the fascinating things I have learned but also how to actually put those ideas to use in your own life. Productivity research is great, but pretty unless when you don't act upon it. This is in this way I see hyperfocus as a sort of science help book. Once explore the fascinating research behind how you focus but also bridge those insights with your daily life to explore way you can manage your attention better to become more productive and creative. This idea have already changed one life mine and I know they can do the same for you. On the surface, the result can seem a bit like magic, but the magic stops being magic the moment you know how it's done.